It's the story of a poor boy, the least weekly podcast ever produced. I am Mikey.
I'm Matt.
I had to think about that then.
Did you change your name for a little bit or something?
Yeah, must have. That's why we've been away for so long. So we've missed, basically, Liverpool played a run of 7, even 8 games that were really difficult, and we missed the ones that Liverpool struggled in, which is what we seem to be good at, really. But we're going to just plough through and pretend they never happened. We'll talk about City first, then we will come back to those games. Then we're going to do a mini start of season review as well, just cover who we think's impressed for Liverpool, who we think's disappointed, who we're expecting more from. You will hear the dog bark occasionally in the background. And then we'll have a quick glance as well at Jurgen Klopp's comments about squad tiredness. But as I say, let's start with Liverpool versus Manchester City. It's one hell of a 0-0.
Yeah, I think it's one of the most interesting 0-0s I've ever watched. Just tactically quite brilliant from both managers, especially Guardiola, it must be said. Like coming to Anfield and changing his game so much as to like kind of nullify our press and work around it. They still didn't really create much, hence the 0-0. But they really made it hard work for us, especially our midfield. It was quite fascinating. Atmosphere-wise, the game wasn't great. It was good for the first 10 minutes, first 15 minutes, last 10 minutes. But then everything in between. I don't know if it was because it was Sunday or if it was because it was tense. I know personally my head was pounding, so I couldn't contribute. I was basically trying not to throw up all first half. But it was a nervy affair, I think, and you could tell that Liverpool's front three weren't firing on all cylinders. But then the same with City. I think our defence was too good to allow them too many chances, and their system was too good to allow us any chances, and we just kind of cancelled each other out.
I think that's fair. I mean, I don't really want to look at the Champions League games too much because, you know, Liverpool are a different breed in Europe. We just always have been. But if we look at the Liverpool 4, Manchester City 3 from last season, it's looked at as an example of what the Premier League can be in terms of excitement. It was end-to-end stuff. Liverpool blitzed Man City for a good 10-15 minute period, so that second half. You look at the stats from that game. City dominate possession. Liverpool have the most attempts on goal. We have 16. They have 11. In this game, possession is 49-51, and number of shots, Liverpool have 7, City have 6.
There's not much in it, is there?
Exactly, and we are, it is testament to how much this Liverpool team has evolved in just one transfer window, really, into a team that can compete City and bloody nose of City on the day. And now Liverpool are a team that City have changed how they play football, and there's no getting away from that. Pep Guardiola has paid Liverpool one of the biggest compliments we've been paid in years.
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing to take from this draw, is that yes, we can bloody the nose of your Cities and your Pep Guardiolas, but now we're a team that Pep Guardiola actually has a second thought about and changes his style of play. His style of play that got 100 points in the Premier League last season.
Unwavering.
Changes that to try and nullify this Liverpool team or mitigate damage. Because I think he said if it is an open game, we'll lose. I think he said that. I've said that Liverpool were the best. He said just the best in the world at that.
Guardiola's comments are basically that if you have an open game, he said if you have a game that's good to watch for the football fan, then Liverpool will win that, because Liverpool, in terms of transitions, are the best team in the world.
Yeah,
and that from a manager who's won what he's won. All right, there's a bit of debate about whether or not he's ever done it without a Lionel Messi or without a blank checkbook. XYZ, but I mean, there's no getting away from what he's achieved in football.
Yeah.
And for him to turn around and say that about Liverpool just shows that the level Liverpool are currently operating at. And, you know, I did say right back in August that all I wanted from Liverpool in terms of a title challenge this year was, to see where we're up to even, is when we get to this game, Liverpool to be level on points with City, and if we get to this game and we're level on points with City, then I will fully say Liverpool are in with a very, very good chance of winning the title this season.
Yeah.
And Liverpool are very, very much in with a shout of winning this league.
Definitely.
We're one of 3 teams, not 4. No matter how good Arsenal played yesterday.
No matter how many people keep trying to push that as well.
Yeah.
It's like, are Arsenal title challengers? Like, no, they're not.
Well, you have to. It's Sky pushing it, and Sky are trying to sell the most entertaining league in the
I
world.
suppose,
a 4-horse race is more entertaining than a 3-horse race, and that's the way that they're going to frame
The
it.
thing with Arsenal's, it's going to be interesting. They've got a horrid bunch of fixtures coming up, you know.
Well, we've just had ours out the way, but in terms of incidents in the game, there are a couple. As we say, it's a lot more. I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it because it's not boring. It's not a boring game.
No, I've seen a lot of people say it was a boring game and it was
it's a lot
didn't live up to its billing, and maybe it didn't live up to its billing as a 4-3 end-to-end game that it was last year. But for me, it was a really entertaining game of football. Probably the most entertaining 0-0 draw as well as interesting that I've watched. I think we said that on the way home, didn't we?
Yeah. It is a really fascinating game, and Liverpool's midfield really shows its pedigree as well in this. I think me and you both walk away saying that Jordan Henderson and Gini Wijnaldum have excellent games.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, Fernandinho puts himself about, David Silva's just a constant
Fernandinho
threat.
Puts himself about so much that he probably should have been sent off.
He probably should have been sent off, yeah. I mean, there is that argument. He does try and take Mane's head off. Maybe he needs to do it with his foot instead when he's running through clear on goal and that's how you get a red card. Let's go right back to the start then. The squad comes out and we see Joe Gomez right back.
Yep.
Dejan Lovren's come back in. Thoughts?
I think it was probably the right decision. Trent did look tired against Napoli, and Klopp mentioned that the reason for that was Trent needs a rest. Lovren's looking fit, and obviously at the start of the season, we all would have thought Van Dijk and Lovren would have been the first choice centre-back pairing. The switch for Gomez to right-back rather than bringing Klein in is an interesting one.
Might spell the end for Nathaniel Klein's Liverpool.
Yeah, possibly. Klopp might see Gomez as first and foremost centre-back, but then also second choice right-back. It was interesting to see because we know that Gomez at centre-back and Gomez at right-back are completely different animals. Gomez at centre-back has looked really, really assured this season, and he's got a really good partnership with Van Dijk. Gomez at right-back doesn't seem to be able to deal with balls over the top of him like he does at centre-back because of a different position and because he knows he's got the touchline out to one side of him, and he seems to get done by wingers. And it happened a few times during this game. We saw the return of Bat Gomez again, and like his decision making was poor. There was Lovren won a header to clear it from a good ball coming out from a wing, and he went out to Gomez and he just sliced at it and he went straight back to Aguero and gave him the chance that Lovren had initially cut it out. So that was an interesting one.
Could have been a penalty as well.
Yeah, possibly.
Although Aguero didn't complain too much. No, I think it's a very interesting setup from Klopp because we saw in the league last season, at least, Joe Gomez didn't have a very good game against Leroy Sané that game. We may win 4-3, but Sané's goal just before half-time is a direct result of Joe Gomez misjudging the flight of the football. Whereas in the Champions League, Liverpool concede 1 goal across 2 games and Trent Alexander-Arnold comes away with his stock never having been higher.
Oh yeah, he was brilliant in those games.
But I suppose it's testament to how impressive Gomez has been this season that it's like, right, I can't drop Joe. Joe needs to be on this pitch.
Yeah.
And he played well. I know what you mean. There are moments in there where you can tell he's not a right back.
Yeah, defensively he was a bit suspect, but like going forward, some of his crosses were really, really good.
He isn't half quick.
I think I saw that he created the most chances for Liverpool.
I mean, it spells volumes for how the game was played out as well. Also speaks volumes for how fucking poor Benjamin Mendy is as well.
Yeah.
I'll get onto that in a bit, but yeah.
See, the thing with Gomez, it's quite evident that when he's playing at right back, he's a centre back playing right back.
Yes, definitely.
It's quite evident with Mendy that he's a winger playing left back.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with that. He'd look a lot more sure further forward. I just don't quite get it, but yeah. But Joe Gomez, he's not quick. Sané comes off the bench and track him back. There's a race between Gomez and Sané, and there's just no chance Sané's winning it.
Yeah.
It's really like incredible pace for someone who has had the injuries Joe Gomez has had. He's only 21 as well. And Leroy Sané's looked at as like this absolute speed demon who no one's ever catching once he gets going, and he couldn't get anywhere near Joe Gomez when Joe Gomez took full flight yesterday. Testament to Joe, really. I mean, away from Gomez, the rest of the squad, I mean, it kind of picks itself. Obviously, Keita's it hurt himself against Napoli, so he drops out. We lose Milner quite early on, though,
we do.
in the game.
Do we know if he's okay?
I'm not entirely sure. I mean, he's played a lot of football this season, James Milner. He's played very well at times, but you can, in the last couple of weeks, you have seen him coming off the boil a little bit. And, you know, at 32, he's entitled to do that. That's absolutely fine.
100%.
I'm not criticising him.
I mean, I'm off the boil and I'm 24, so whatever.
Well, that's it. But, Liverpool miss him when he comes off. You can tell that straight away, do you know what I mean? Liverpool do miss that body in midfield. It's good that Keita is in a position to actually come on for him still, do you know what I mean? It could have been a lot. I mean, if Keita wasn't back, it could have been a lot worse. It involves changing it completely, then changing the game plan. And I think if Liverpool had opened themselves up a little bit more, because it probably would have been Shaqiri, is what I'm getting at, then, or Fabinho, then maybe we don't get the draw. Or maybe we aren't as competitive.
Shaqiri might have opened the midfield up too much, and Fabinho might have. He's still not really used to the pace of this league. And City are one hell of a fast team to play against, especially that midfield.
On Milner, Klopp said, I asked him if it was a big one. He said, I don't think so, but big enough that I have to go off.
Okay, fair enough.
So it's just a precaution.
Yeah. Milner knows his body.
Well, that's it, and he's the type of player who wouldn't want to come off if he didn't have to. Disappointing, obviously, but Keita, you get flashes with Keita where you're just like, you are very good on the football, but his off the ball work has been slightly slack, to say the least.
Yeah, it's not as good yet, but I still think we're in that period of him bedding in, much like Oxlade-Chamberlain was. He didn't really get going until after Christmas, to be honest.
This is the point I wanted to make, is that Oxlade-Chamberlain in that midfield yesterday, Liverpool win that game.
I think so, yeah.
You take David Silva out of the Man City team. Obviously, David Silva's a world-class footballer, but you take David Silva out of that Man City team and put him in the Liverpool team, and Liverpool win that game comfortably yesterday. What Liverpool were missing is a bit of directness out of the midfield.
Away through the midfield.
Yeah, exactly. And a way to... Because what all City did yesterday, I say all, it was incredibly executed, well executed, and fair play to them, they were fantastic in the plan. But what City did was they basically went, Liverpool will play out of the back from Van Dijk, from Lovren and from Jordan Henderson. So what we're going to do is we're just going to cut off every pass.
Yeah.
And then there's no pass out of midfield, out of defence, no pass into midfield for us to get involved in a midfield battle. And then we'll try and win the ball up high.
Yeah. They forced us out to the wings.
Yeah, and they did. And normally there's... I mean... on a normal day, maybe you're looking at that and you're like, well, forcing them to pull out wide is silly because they've got Andy Robertson and they've got Trent Alexander-Arnold, in this case Joe Gomez. But what City's attack and threat means is that they can't be as adventurous as they would maybe want to be.
Exactly.
So what Liverpool really needed is, once they broke that midfield press and they got into the midfield and got in amongst is somebody to pick the ball up. Almost Emre Can-like, and that's the first time I've said that Liverpool probably miss Emre Can this season, is that Emre Can would have played yesterday. Emre Can would have started that game yesterday, and because he offers that direct running out of midfield.
But if Oxlade-Chamberlain's fit and we still had Emre Can, Oxlade-Chamberlain starts over that.
Of course, but I think if Adam Lallana's still fit, Adam Lallana plays yesterday. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. Somebody who is skillful on the ball. Basically what we thought Naby Keita was going to be for us.
What Naby Keita will be.
Yeah, what Naby Keita will be. I'm not saying... I mean, we'll get on to Keita later on, but what we're expecting Keita to eventually become, and it's very easy to forget he's only 23.
Yeah,
but Liverpool, the way City set up, I've already said, was a huge compliment to us yesterday. But Liverpool just needed that directness out of midfield a little bit. I mean, it's telling that we score very early on. In the league game last season, Oxlade-Chamberlain is the one who does it.
Yeah, picks it up, drives it forward 10 yards before their midfield even know what he's done, and then blams it into the net. Yep,
definitely. And if Liverpool have that on the pitch yesterday, Liverpool win that game. That's not saying that City's game plan, as good as it was, that is literally like City's game plan. It was there, and there were weaknesses to it. That defence is not as solid as it may look. They may have only conceded the same amount of goals as we have this season, but that's because teams are afraid to attack Man City.
Yeah.
While we were talking about lineups before, I wanted to also say we talked about Leroy Sané already. It's a huge compliment again to Liverpool that Riyad Mahrez starts instead of Leroy Sané, because I think that indicates how. I think with Mahrez, you get more tracking back than you would
I think
with Sané. And I may be chatting out my arse there, because I did see Sané tracking back quite a fair bit yesterday. But
I think it's specifically more work in the middle, which is what Guardiola needed and what they did. Yeah,
cutting in field. You can't take Andy Robbo on the outside because he's too good.
Yeah, I do think it was weird. Speaking of City's lineup. That Sterling starts again at Anfield.
Was so poor.
He does not play well at Anfield.
So many loose touches. So many
can't.
Yeah,
and I don't understand why Guardiola keeps playing. He can have faith in his players. I think that's a great quality in a manager. But Sterling at Anfield he shouldn't play. He shouldn't play.
Yeah, I think. You see so many overhit passes from Raheem Sterling. You see so many poor touches where the ball's just got away from him a couple of yards. There's so many incidents as well where somebody just lashes him on the floor because he's just not strong enough in this kind of game. And he hasn't got any upper body strength for Sterling. He's very much about the speed element of his game. I can say that having watched him and been pissed off with him for years at Liverpool. It's one of those things that he just hasn't really got to his game. I mean, on his day, he is a tremendous footballer, and he would walk back into this Liverpool team probably. Is the debate he gets in over Sadio Mane. At the moment, probably does. Probably gets in over all three of them at the moment, but
we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that. I mean, in fact, while we're actually on the attacking three, I mean, it's an interesting performance from him. It feels almost limited. Like, the press was there, but it wasn't as intense as we expect from Liverpool. There are times when Ederson just gets the ball and he's got time to dribble around the 6-yard box.
Yeah, same with Stones, same with Laporte. Yeah. I don't know, do you think it's because they're all off the boil a bit and maybe they need the confidence to go for that press?
I think
maybe because it's this really intense run of games coming at the very end of this intense run of games as well.
That point definitely. I think if this game is swapped with the Tottenham game, then Liverpool win this game. Again, it's another way of Liverpool saying Liverpool would win this game if we just offered a little bit more. But it's just there's just been so much energy going into this last couple of games, and I don't think we can appreciate until later on in the season just how much this might have taken out of us, this run. Once we've got a run where we can properly rotate and we don't have to be playing the same 11 every week, we'll appreciate just how difficult it was
Yeah.
for Mane, for Salah, and for Bobby Firmino to play every week. Not to mention for James Milner to play every game, for Gini Wijnaldum to play every game, Jordan Henderson as well, Virgil van Dijk, Joe Gomez. You name them, they've played.
Yeah.
It's
I think I remember seeing Klopp saying that because all these games are so difficult and so intense that he's not felt that he was able to rotate too much because he didn't want any drop off in form or any loss of rhythm. It'd be better after the international break when say our first few games it's Huddersfield, Red Star and Cardiff. You can see some rotation happening there.
Definitely.
But when it was Spurs, PSG, Southampton and Chelsea, Napoli, City, it's a lot harder to see where the rotation comes.
Yeah, and that's it. I think Jürgen's surprised probably everyone with how little he's actually rotated in this period. I mean, Chelsea in the League Cup, obviously, aside.
Yeah, it doesn't count.
The League Cup, you're always going to rotate, but I think if you could have offered Jurgen Klopp a buy and just went, we'll just get knocked out of the League Cup, just judging on his comments about squad rotation, and the fact that it's the only game he actually properly rotated for, I think if you'd have offered them a buy and just went to Liverpool won't compete in the League Cup this season, he'd have ripped your hand off for it, because I think it's an obligation to give some other players a game. And alright, it's disappointing from us as fans to see Liverpool not progress further in another cup, but it just disrupts rhythm, and Liverpool, unfortunately, it's telling at this point in time, isn't it? Like that's the point where you could look at this and just be like, Liverpool haven't been quite the same since the Chelsea game, but there are some of the most intense games of football that you'll see Liverpool play. The Chelsea game last week and this game as well. I mean, are you happy with how Liverpool played yesterday in particular? Do you think there's more that could have been done in certain areas? Is there anybody who's come away and you're just like, I just wish you'd just give it a little bit more?
It's difficult. I think most of the team did as much as they could. I think the front three maybe could have gone for it a little bit more. But again, it is at the end of this very intense run of fixtures. I think it was more important to not lose that game than to win it, to stay level with Chelsea and City.
It's a bigger game for City than it was for us.
100%.
Definitely.
Absolute 100%. And I think after the international break, that's the time when we're going to start blowing teams away again, when it's going to start properly clicking. I think this run of games was more about just getting through them rather than being dominant force and going all gung-ho. We possibly could have won all these games.
Yeah.
But what would the first team be like at the end of it? I think they'd be in absolute tatters.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to see over this international break that maybe Salah gets a bit of a rest, maybe Firmino gets a bit of a rest, Mane. We know Milner will. I'm hoping Henderson gets a rest. Gomez.
You won't do.
Yeah, I know. But
England never ever treat Liverpool players well.
But it's going to be interesting to see after the international break, especially with our hard run of games is done. We've got some nicer fixtures coming up after the break.
Yeah.
Your Chelseas, your Cities, your Arsenals have some horrible fixtures coming up in quite quick succession. So that is going to be interesting to see how they deal with that while we have our easy run of games. I'm doing quotation marks, great video.
No one's had an easier run at the start of this season than Man City.
No,
I mean, even the big game that they played before us was Arsenal, who were still finding their feet. It's not the same Arsenal that are playing now. Arsenal looked incredibly poor that first weekend.
Yep.
City just weren't even in a game, really. They just decided, alright, okay, well, if we feel like it, we'll win this game 6-0. But as it turned out, they only had to win 2. And then the rest of the games are against promoted teams from this season and last season. I mean, if you could handpick your first six or seven games, that would be ideal. And then you come into Liverpool. You come into a game against Liverpool, where Liverpool have had to play in a much harder Champions League group as well, at much higher intensity, with 2 games against Chelsea the week beforehand, and City must have looked at this game and just went, "We can win this game," and but for Riyad Mahrez missing a penalty, they may well have. But City, this is the opportunity.
Definitely, if it was one time they were going to beat us at Anfield, I think this is
18 games without
18 games.
City have never won at Anfield in the Premier League.
Wow.
And yesterday was the first clean sheet they've kept in the Premier League at Anfield.
Wow.
Which, when
it's the first time they haven't lost in like 7 games as well, isn't it?
Yeah, something mad like that. I mean, it's disappointing to lose that record, I guess, but it's still to...
Yeah, but I think it's quite telling that this is the one opportunity that City have to win at Anfield after our horrendous run of fixtures, after their relatively much easier run of fixtures, and they still change their game to try and nullify us, and they still don't win.
Yeah.
I think that's really, really important to remember.
Yeah. I mean, we spoke about squad tiredness already, well, in the front three, basically. And maybe there's a lack of energy that is normally there. It was a really strange substitution to bring off Bobby Firmino when he did.
Yeah, it was strange.
And maybe I'm looking at that the wrong way. Maybe not strange to bring off Firmino, but it's strange to bring on Daniel Sturridge. If you bring on Xherdan Shaqiri and that...
I thought the sub was going to be Shaqiri.
Yeah. If you bring on Shaqiri and that instead, I understand that. Because Shaqiri will chase balls, Shaqiri will offer another dimension. Whereas we know Sturridge hasn't quite got the legs for that kind of intensity of a game. And I say that, I mean, the week before, he plays in the most intense game that we've played all season, and he whacks one in from 30 yards, which, blew everyone's head off. I nearly started crying. It was madness, but it just didn't feel like a game that Daniel Sturridge was ever going to have the influence he can.
See, I don't know. I've thought about it for a bit. Maybe the plan was for him to drop deep and try and find something from deeper, like he did against Chelsea.
Should score a header as well.
Yeah, well, that was the second thing I was going to say. Because we're being forced out wide, maybe the plan was, okay, fine, we're going to be forced out wide, cross it in, get it to Sturridge. Maybe he, with his ridiculous football talent, can do something with those crosses.
So is Daniel Sturridge the new Ricky Lambert? Is that what you're saying?
Perhaps. Well, not in a lump it up to a fridge kind of way, but in a, if we're being forced out wide and having to resort to lots of crosses in, I would quite like Sturridge on the end of those crosses.
Yeah, and I can understand that, and I am nitpicking here. I mean,
of course, yeah.
In terms of tactics, I think Jürgen got it pretty close to spot on yesterday. It's disappointing to concede the penalty at the end. The way we do,
especially after we seemingly got away with 2.
Well, we definitely get away with, in my eyes, we get away with 1. I don't think the second one's a penalty.
No, not at all. Not at all.
But I mean,
from our point of view in the cup, you were convinced both of them were penalties. I was like, nah.
I was convinced that the first one from Aguero, I was convinced was a penalty.
Yeah.
Because it just looked clumsy from Lovren. Lovren, who had a fantastic game yesterday.
Yeah, you should mention that.
There's 2 tackles where he absolutely destroys Gabriel Jesus and Leroy Sané. And
I can't decide which one I like more.
The first one for me. The first one because everyone's back got up.
Yeah.
It got everyone up. And if Liverpool had gone on to win that game, that would have been the point where I'd have just been, it's there.
Yeah.
It's there that Liverpool win that game. And obviously the penalty could have been a similar turning point, but like literally it was one of those tackles Gerrard used to make them regularly, where it was just like it felt all or nothing.
Yeah.
And he makes that tackle, it's inch perfect. He leaves Jesus clattered on the floor, and then everyone in Anfield erupts, and everyone is absolutely over the moon. And it's a proper football tackle. It's fantastic. It's a proper old-fashioned tackle. Great tackle. Yeah, he had a very good game yesterday.
Yeah.
But Van Dijk, also magnificent. Probably the best player on the pitch until he gives away the penalty, and I still can't believe how close he is to getting the ball.
So we were in the back of a cup, and this happened at the Anfield Road end, so we couldn't really see anything, to be honest. We initially thought it was a good tackle.
Everyone cheered.
We thought it was a really good tackle, but the ref straight away points to the spot. And when we see the replay, he is very, very close to actually making a tackle. He does get the ball, but he gets Sané's knee first.
Yeah.
And fair enough, it is a penalty. We're just watching Trent play chess. Got Sky Sports News on in the background, and Trent's just playing chess against the Grandmaster World Champion.
Yeah,
well in, lad.
It's particularly poor from Mahrez. Like, obviously,
penalties, great, isn't it?
Penalties that go wide are never really good, are they?
High and wide.
Alisson probably gets a hand on it as well if it's on target.
He goes the right way. Did you see
Achterberg?
Yeah.
It's I mean, it's the first time I think Liverpool's Twitter has ever said anything nice about John Achterberg.
Yeah,
ever.
It's true. All thanks to Jamie Carragher.
Yeah,
just
and
pointed it out.
He must be a top fella. Carragher must really like him. Because why would he go to that much effort? Yeah, I mean, in the end, obviously 0-0. I take a point. I wouldn't have at the start of the 7 games. I would have before kick-off yesterday. And I'm still happy with the point now.
Yeah. And I think it was a fair result as well.
Yeah.
I don't think either side deserved to lose, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. In terms of where it leaves us this season as well, it's very annoying that Chelsea have come on as strong as they have.
It is, because if they do their thing of having a shit season, sacking the manager, getting a new manager and winning the league that year, again, I am going to fucking flip. Because I just fed up of it. It shouldn't work.
It's classic Liverpool, though, that the season we've never been in this good a stead to building on something. It's classic Liverpool that this would be the season where fucking 4 teams can win the league. Last season,
3, don't include Arsenal.
4 off. Yeah, all right. I'll include Spurs and United as well if I want. Bournemouth have got a chance.
I was going to say include Wolves before United. Jesus Christ.
But no, it would be typical of Liverpool, wouldn't it? I mean, it's got all the hallmarks of 13-14 all over again. We all said at that time it was going to be between the same 4 teams, actually, to be fair, that everyone's saying now. And then Arsenal dropped off, which they'll do again this season because they haven't got the squad to compete in the Europa League as well. Chelsea dropped off that season. We will see. It takes one injury to Eden Hazard, and they're having a very different season.
People keep kicking him, but he keeps getting back up.
Just kick him harder. We couldn't fucking catch him over 2 games. That's our problem. Fucking hell. Moreno, the one thing Moreno's good at, he didn't even fucking try it. Honest to God. I feel like we've talked about that already, but me and you have discussed that. We haven't actually done it on a podcast.
Yeah.
But Liverpool weren't very good in the League Cup, were very good in the league game, and were absolutely terrible against Napoli. There you go. That's pretty well summed up, I think. But yeah, it is hugely frustrating, isn't it, that Liverpool this season are looking at a 3-horse race, possibly a 4-horse race if you want to be Sky about it.
I never want to be Sky about it.
20 points from 24, a possible 24 though, at this stage in the season, with the fixtures we've played.
Can't ask for much more, can you?
Can't ask for much more. And I think anyone would have taken that at the start of the season.
And staying level with City and Chelsea, and I'll keep saying this, when we've had our toughest run, tough run of fixtures, while they've had it comparatively much easier.
Yeah.
I think we are in better stead in the league than those two, purely because of the fixtures.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned the fixtures there. So basically what I want to move on to is discussing how they've gone, and everyone's talking about it as the 7 fixtures, so I've called this the Magnificent 7 fixtures.
Excellent.
And then I looked at the fixtures and I realised it started at Leicester, which makes it 8. We play Leicester, then go into international break, then have Tottenham, and then it goes on from there.
Yeah.
And you can't discredit how impressive Leicester away is Do you know what I mean? Like that's a difficult game for anyone this season.
True, but like
Everton have won there.
The 7 specifically was just in between the 2 international breaks that people were looking at.
Yeah, definitely. So I mean, it is 7 games. But in isolation, it's those 7 games. Sorry, but you know, you're looking at the fixtures Liverpool have played so far this season. Liverpool have had far from an easy start.
Oh yeah, like Leicester away and Palace away.
Yeah,
much harder than any of City's fixtures.
Although I'm very glad we played West Ham when we did as well.
Yeah. Because surprise, surprise, Mikey's right and West Ham are good now.
Although we
I'll eat humble pie.
They got beat on Friday by Brighton. So
good for shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's the 7 games. All right, we looked at the 7 games when they first started, and we looked at it and went, there's every possibility Liverpool win all 7 of these. There's every possibility Liverpool win 6 at least. Liverpool have only won 3.
Yeah.
And the last 4, as I've just said, you know, there are games in there we haven't played well. But the intensity of those games, it was always going to be telling whether or not we could cope with that and whether we could come through in a strong position on the other side of them. So, league-wise, as we've just said, we couldn't really be stronger if we wanted to be. And Champions League-wise, we've beat PSG.
Yep.
We're still sat second in the group. PSG's next game's Napoli. If they draw that and Liverpool go out and tonk Red Star Belgrade 4-5-0, then all of a sudden we're looking at those games and we're being like, we've done really well from those games. To come out in a position where, alright, League Cup's gone. Fine, League Cup's gone. Let Chelsea have that if they want. Probably will be City, to be fair. But Liverpool are still in with a shout in the Premier League and the Champions League.
Of course.
And it's purely because we've coped with such a high intensity period in our fixture list, better than we could have probably imagined, really.
Yeah. So obviously the 3 wins, I can't ask for more from that. It was Spurs away, PSG at home, and Southampton at home.
Mm-hmm. The Chelsea games.
The Chelsea away in the Chelsea at home in the League Cup. I said before, take it or leave it, don't care. If I had to choose one game to lose, it'd be that one. Much to your disagreement and a lot of people I saw on Twitter's disagreement, they say, no, we want to win a trophy. Like, fuck that, we're trying to win the league. It's different. But one result, well, I'll say Chelsea away and City at home, I'm happy with those draws. I think like it's not damaged anything. I think it was more important not to lose those games than to win, possibly. The one result that I am disappointed with is Napoli away, because I think that is not disastrous, but it could become a problem. If we don't beat Red Star twice, there's a possibility that we might not get out of the group. And that worries me. It's put a lot of pressure on those Red Star games. And as we saw from Red Star drawing with Napoli, they're not mugs.
They're not, but I think Napoli go into that game underestimating Red Star, which is saying something because it's Carlo Ancelotti in charge. I mean, it's not like Ancelotti to underestimate football teams when they stay all up at half time, alright? Like that, but, no, but he's an experienced manager. You wouldn't expect him to, but they clearly did just underestimate how good Red Star could be. PSG didn't, and PSG come away from that game 6-1. Liverpool are more than capable of doing something similar to them. Do you know what I mean?
Well, obviously, if we beat Red Star twice, then I don't think that Napoli game matters too much because we beat PSG.
That's it. Napoli don't take 6 points off PSG.
No.
Liverpool might take 4 off PSG. I mean, we might take 6, but I think it's likely, if we're honest, Liverpool come away with 4 points from the 2 PSG games. I think if I was betting on it, I would put Liverpool drawing in that game, because I just see PSG coming at us with a lot more than they did at Anfield, and maybe that's a game where we're in the middle of rotations and stuff like that. Maybe there's not flow in it, but I mean, if Liverpool get 6 points from PSG, then we're through as far as I'm concerned. There's no way you can go through this group, take 6 points off PSG and probably 6 points off of Red Star if we're at our best and not come through this group.
Oh, 100%.
So we knew it was a tricky group already, but I agree. It has added extra pressure to the Red Star games, but Liverpool are good enough to not worry about a team like Red Star at this point in time. You know, if Liverpool can't beat Red Star, they've got no business being in the Champions League.
True.
And that's the way we've got to look at it. I firmly believe we'll do them over, but I don't think Liverpool lose another game in the group. No,
probably not. I hope not anyway.
Of the remaining 4 games, I don't see Liverpool losing another game.
Possibly PSG away. Cause I think...
Exactly. PSG away is the one where you go maybe, but even then, I mean, Napoli aren't going to win there. I don't care. Napoli were good against us, but they weren't perfect, and Liverpool just basically just give them the game.
Yeah.
Give them the game and just went, our midfield shattered there. Your pitch is shite. We can't be arsed. So, yeah, it's 3 points. I mean, we were very close to taking a point away then, and everyone going, look, yeah, it's a good result. And if it's not for an 88th minute goal from Insigne, then we do that.
Yeah, true.
And also, I've obviously not had a chance to mention it yet, Alisson makes the greatest save I've ever seen from a Liverpool goalkeeper in that game. Ever. Like, I could not believe that he'd saved it. I had to rewind it. I don't rewind live football. I hate doing that. Yeah. But I had to rewind it and just be like, he saved that. And it's...
it was amazing.
Yeah, and he's incredible. In fact, while we've talked about the 7 games, and we've mentioned it in the City run as well. Before we move on completely from them, well, I say completely, we'll probably touch on them still. But man of match for the City game.
Probably Jordan Henderson, you know.
Yeah.
I think he dictated the play very well. I think he made some monster tackles, some absolutely monster tackles. Took what should have been a yellow card and didn't get it, which made it an even better yellow card.
Yeah.
But also, shout out to Lovren. I thought Lovren was fucking brilliant as well.
Yeah, I'm going with Lovren.
Yeah. Also, Wijnaldum. I thought Wijnaldum was fantastic. He just did not lose the ball at all. Even though he looked like he was gonna lose the ball a few times, he still managed to keep on his feet, keep the ball at his feet, and find a player in red.
Yeah, and I'm going with Lovren as well. I know you've gone with Henderson, so yeah, just to be different as I always am. I'm going with Lovren for the points you've just made there. He's very to come back to that kind of intensity of a game and just be that good.
Yeah,
straight away.
And he kept finding Gomez in space as well. And like, I think we mentioned it during the game. If it was Jorginho doing that, Sky and Twitter would be pissing themselves, like creaming in their pants of some of the passes coming out. But because it's Jordan Henderson and everyone already hates him, it doesn't really get mentioned.
No,
and then
definitely.
he passed back once and everyone started fuming.
Definitely. There's a couple of raking passes which are just incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah, I probably would say Henderson, but I'm going to stay with Lovren.
Yeah, same.
So yeah, I was talking about Alisson. I mean, they could not have gone... He looks to be the best keeper I've ever seen play for Liverpool. And basically what I want to move on to now is basically talking who's impressed and who hasn't at the start of this season.
Yeah.
Because we're at a point now where Liverpool played 8 games in the league, 2 games in the Champions League, and 1 game in the League Cup. So we're at a good point here. We're probably about a fifth of the way through a season, to say. We're at a good point here with an international break where we can look and see who needs to kick on.
Yeah.
So, who has been the main highlights for you? Because for me, the main highlights for me this season have been Alisson, Van Dijk and Gomez.
Yeah, I was going to say that. How defensively sound we've been, especially in the league, only conceding 3 goals.
Yeah.
Where I think this time last season we conceded 12 in the first 8 games.
Yeah.
It's just absolute night and day, and we just look so calm and assured. Like the calmness that Van Dijk has when he's playing out from the back, it's just absolutely ridiculous, and it's so good to watch. And the saves that Alisson keeps making, and his quick distribution, like he thinks so fast. There was a point in the City game where like we were just catching our breath from like shouting or screaming or whatever, and then he just found, I think it was Robertson in space, and then Robertson made that early cross into Salah.
It's when Mahrez, he tries to take on Van Dijk. Van Dijk tackles him, the ball ricochets back off Mahrez, goes out for a goal kick. And then straight away, our penalty box has still got about 8 players in it.
Yeah.
And he just picks the ball up, puts it down, Robertson, straight away. And then from that, Liverpool get a very good chance. And, I mean, if we're honest, Mo Salah should do a lot better than he does. But we didn't really talk about that before, but yeah. He just... It's the coolness that he brings as well, Alisson. I mean, to say that Liverpool look more relaxed in defence is just a complete understatement. We look like a completely different team.
Yeah.
And Joe Gomez is as much of a part of that as anyone, to be honest. He bringing the ball out of the back. I never really saw Joe Gomez as that kind of player, to be honest, and he's been incredible for it. He really has.
I think that's his time at right back shining through.
Like, yeah, I'll probably agree with that.
Being able to be so calm while dribbling with the ball, and like the pace he's got, it's just ridiculous for a centre back. It's absolutely ridiculous.
I'm Van Dijk as well, to be fair.
Yeah.
I mean, I always made that point with Jamie Carragher for different reasons, to be fair, because Carragher's not got the pace. He never had the pace of Gomez. He's not particularly ever one to dribble out the back, but in terms of what you learn at fullback, I think it's an invaluable experience for people like Carragher, like Joe Gomez is showing us now. You just pick up things. I think you gain an appreciation for what you want your centre half to do.
Exactly. Like where the centre back should be positionally in relation to the right back. Maybe that's the secret. Maybe all centre backs should start out at full back, get some experience there, and then move into the centre.
Well, most do, to be fair. Most do start that. Start there. It's the easiest way of breaking into a team, really, isn't it? I mean, you only got to look at Alexander-Arnold to see that is an option. Rafa Camacho is another one. He comes through in pre-season as a right back. He's making his trade for the youth team as a central attacking midfielder.
Yeah.
It's just where you end up. Steven Gerrard did the exact same thing.
It's attributes of fast attacking mids can be translated to fullback quite easily.
Definitely,
can't we?
Definitely. I mean, Liverpool just only conceded 3 goals in the league this season, and we just look, as we've already touched on, we just look so assured.
I think another reason for that, and another player who's looked really good and impressed at the start of the season for me is Jorginho Wijnaldum.
Yeah,
I think he's looked really, really good in that holding role. He's been invaluable to keeping all those clean sheets and only conceding 3 goals for me.
Yeah,
I just think he's been fantastic. He's really stepped up this season when he could have thought, "Oh, I'm being replaced."
Well, yeah, I mean,
throw his toys out the pram. Or maybe take it easy and think, okay, fine, I'll be a bench rotation player. It's like, no, I'm just going to be fucking Cloud Makelele now. Fuck you.
I mean, I think we all kind of assumed Wijnaldum takes up the Emre Can role.
Yeah.
As he's someone you bring in for the big games kind of thing. But in terms of the everyday kind of fixtures, your Brightons, for example, you just don't expect Wijnaldum to be what he has been. And Genie has just stepped up another level. He's basically looked round. He saw Keita and Fabinho come in for massive money, and he just went, "All right, I'll raise it. I'll raise my game.
I'll be better.
I'll be whatever Liverpool need me to be." And that's something that you can't really put a price on. That kind of attitude.
I think it's testament to how different he is from Emre Can, where Emre Can in that position
because of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he wanted a guaranteed starting role, didn't he? And a release clause and more money and whatever. But I can't imagine Emre Can stepping up the way that Wijnaldum has this season.
No.
Can would have looked for assurances that he would still be part of the manager's thinking. Wijnaldum has forced himself to be part of the manager's thinking. I think there's a difference.
Yeah. And also, Can would have insulted women's football.
Of course.
To the core.
Or just women in general.
Women in general, yeah. That's, to be fair. Prick.
Yeah.
Well, he's not the worst player at Juve right now, shall we say.
God.
Yeah, I mean, alright, so anyone else who's particularly impressed? I mean, for me, the fullbacks have had pretty steady seasons. Alexander Arnold's eye hasn't quite been in there, but he's still getting in the right positions, and
he's creating chances, but he's also missing a lot of his chances, like with heavy crosses or ball passing.
Yeah, I think Salah's getting a lot more abuse than he deserves as well. It's just not quite falling for Salah. But yesterday, Mo Salah was Liverpool's best attacker, and that's saying something. I mean, Firmino looked great yesterday at times. At other times, he looked tired, but that's why he probably comes off. But I think Mo's having a difficult time of it because people are expecting him to hit 50 goals this season. And Mo's not going to do 50 goals this season.
I've noticed it every home game so far. Teams are so quick to get 2 players around Salah now. Whenever Liverpool have the ball, when looking to move forward, 2 players on Salah immediately.
Yeah.
And it is going to be difficult for him to hit the heights of last season when that keeps happening. What we were initially hoping for was that Mane on the other side would pick up the slack, but he's been a bit off form as well, so that's kind of caused the whole front three to not be firing on all cylinders. Who has impressed me has been Sturridge. Like when he's been coming off the bench, when he's been called upon to start, he's doing the job. He's scoring goals. He's getting involved in the game,
and his attitude is incredible.
His attitude is absolutely brilliant.
It's exactly what you want from somebody like that. I think Daniel Sturridge has realised his lot in life, to be honest with you. If the odds had been better for Daniel Sturridge, and the roll of the dice had been a bit kinder to him, Daniel Sturridge will right now be regarded as the best striker in the world football, and I firmly believe that Daniel Sturridge has all the ability in the world to be fantastic, but his body has let him down time and time again.
Yeah.
And I think Sturridge this season has just went, alright, you know what, fine, I'll make the most of the chance I've got at Liverpool, because
I think he knows his career's not going to be for much longer.
I wouldn't say that as such, but I think that Daniel Sturridge realises that his time at the top might be numbered if he doesn't show now, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Daniel Sturridge doesn't want to be moving to a West Brom again. He doesn't want to be playing at a West Ham or a Newcastle or Southampton or someone like that. He deserves to be playing at the top level.
Yeah.
And just because his injury record is shocking doesn't mean that that ability isn't there. And this season his attitude adjustment has been incredible, to be fair, and he's got the best goals per minute ratio for any Liverpool player this season.
He does.
He's got 4
well on
goals
course to get like 15-20 goals from the bench.
And if you do that, it's something Liverpool didn't have last season.
Yeah.
Danny Ings didn't do that last season. Dom Solanke got 1 last season. Ings did as well, didn't he? But it's something Liverpool desperately needed, and Liverpool now have someone who on his day is a world-class striker. Ask Chelsea. He's a world-class striker sitting on the bench ready to come on. And also we have a winger as well in Xherdan Shaqiri, who has impressed a lot of people with his just sheer determination.
Every time I see him I think he plays like an absolute pest. He looks like he is an absolute nightmare for defenders, maybe in the 60th minute, to see warming up on the sidelines and to come on, to see this absolute terror. Little weirdo, pitbull crossed with a terrier that's just going to snap at their ankles all evening. Coming on maybe when legs are starting to tire.
Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to seeing more of him as the season goes on. Obviously, we haven't had much chance to rotate with the intensity of the games, but I'm hoping now we're gonna see a lot more rotation in that front three. You're gonna see a lot more of Sturridge. You're gonna see a lot more Shaqiri, and I really want to see both of those kick on. Obviously, Sturridge is doing great at the minute, but I want to see him kick on more, and I want to see Shaqiri kicking on as well.
No, that's definitely fair. So, other side of the coin then. I'm not gonna say who's played badly this season, but who has maybe got work to do this season. Who do you think has maybe needs to step their level up a little bit this year? So far.
Well, we mentioned the front three being off the boil. and we need them to start clicking soon.
Mm-hmm.
This run of games was more about surviving, but now is the time for us to start imprinting ourselves on the game and start actually winning the game and dominating the game. And we need the front three to start properly clicking for that to happen. I'm not sure. Trent can always improve, but I'm not. I don't want to say that he's been bad or that.
No, he's 20 years old.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
It's on the telly now.
The midfield, I'd like to see be a bit more creative.
Yeah.
So I think Jordan Henderson and Wijnaldum have been brilliant. I think Milner. I always think Milner's brilliant, but that midfield three, there's no two ways about it. It's not the most direct of midfields. We said we were missing Oxlade-Chamberlain a lot. We thought Keita would be that midfielder to come in and be the directness, be the driving force in the midfield, be the Gerrard-esque style player.
Yeah.
But he's not quite there at the minute. So I want to see him building himself up in the season to come. Obviously, he's in that Oxlade-Chamberlain limbo at the minute where he's still coming in. So yeah, he needs to make himself known on the pitch more in the coming weeks, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
But he's in that Oxlade-Chamberlain.
I think it's to be expected, to be fair, that we see more from Keita. You know, we paid a lot of money for him. You're allowed to expect a lot from someone you've paid nearly £60 million for, but this is something I said before, and you know, he's 23 years old. He'll kick on. This isn't like this isn't an Alvaro Morata from last season.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where all our eggs are in the Keita basket. I mean, they bought Morata on the strength that they needed someone to replace Diego Costa, and in the end, they've turned to Olivier Giroud to do that. And you know, it's not that type of transfer where Liverpool are like, okay, this is it now. Otherwise, we need our midfield to step up and provide more goals. But I say that Morata's only 25, but it's
so crap.
He's just not. It just doesn't really click at Chelsea, to be honest. But Keita's, what we were expecting from Keita is directness, which is what I've been alluding to all the way through. Is that Liverpool win the game yesterday with more directness, and I think when Keita comes on yesterday, we have every right to think this is the game where we see the best of Naby Keita. You know, this is a chance for him to show that, and there are points where is running troubled Man City.
Yeah, I think when he came on, I turned to you and said, "This is where Keita shows what he's about."
Yeah, and that's it. And I think, I think you're right. We can expect something from Naby Keita from this point onwards. But
Fabinho's probably still a bit too early.
Do you know what? I think he's a fantastic footballer. Fabinho.
He just needs to get used to the pace of the league.
Yeah, from the first half against Chelsea in the League Cup, I thought he was terrible. I thought he looked so off the pace, and I thought he looked so not ready to be playing for Liverpool. And then the second half, it was just a completely different football. He looked like a completely different footballer. He was running the game from midfield, and you know, but Fred and Hazard deciding to be the best player in the world for like he always fucking does when he comes to Anfield.
He does love Anfield.
But for that, I mean, Fabinho, the second half in that game, is probably man of the match.
Yep.
He ran the show. And I think there's something to be said for a classic number 6 in certain teams in the Premier League. At the moment, Liverpool don't really play with a classic number 6. And going forward, he will have to learn. If he's going to make it at Liverpool, he will have to learn that there are other things he needs to be contributing.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
He finds himself between the centre-halves a lot. And you see Jordan Henderson, and it's clearly what Klopp wants. Jordan Henderson's not quite between the centre-halves, but he is going to the centre-halves and offering an easy ball. Van Dijk gets pissed off with Henderson quite a bit yesterday for a few of them, where he's just like, will you just fuck off up the pitch? I've got the ball. And I think Fabinho would have been absolutely perfect for the Brendan Rodgers team of 13-14.
Yes.
In the role Steven Gerrard ended up playing in. Obviously, Gerrard's legs are gone, and that was the best way to accommodate him in that team. But if Fabinho plays in that team as well, you'd think of him as one of the best footballers there is.
Yeah.
And I think he is fantastic. and I think he'd fit in at United. If he'd come in at United, if he'd come in at Arsenal, in particular Arsenal actually, then you'd be like, wow, what a player.
Arsenal have been crying out for a player like him for a while.
Yeah, exactly. And I think once he's adjusted to how Jurgen wants him to play, Liverpool have got one hell of a footballer, and he will be looked at along the lines of Luka Modric kind of levels at some point in his career, because he's just got everything.
But I don't think we're going to see him properly until at least November. At least. Probably more December than January. Yeah. Like when the fixtures start piling up.
Yeah. I think he's the perfect kind of player for an away game, at your likes of Arsenal. I think just get the foot on the ball, calm it right down. When he comes on against Napoli, I thought that was an inspired decision. And Liverpool, obviously we don't get an ideal result there, but I thought that was the change Liverpool were crying out for. Yeah. And he will have moments this season. Liverpool can't always play fantastically.
Oh, definitely.
And there will be moments where Fabinho's current qualities are what Liverpool need.
Yeah.
In terms of other players who need to step up, I mean, you mentioned the front three already. Yeah, it needs to be from the three of them. I mean, I've said Salah's getting a bit of a tough time of it at the moment, but he's not. It's just he's snatching at chances. Well, all three of them are really. They're getting in the right positions, which is encouraging, but it needs that extra kick. And Oxlade-Chamberlain we're missing a lot. I don't think anybody quite anticipated how much we've been missing Oxlade-Chamberlain. But the player we're also missing, and people will forget about this, is Philippe Coutinho.
Yeah.
It's before we had Oxlade-Chamberlain, we had Coutinho, and Coutinho. When you look at the midfield three and the front three that Liverpool play, at the moment it's similar to what we had before we brought Salah in. It's just the only change you make is you put Coutinho in for Salah.
Yeah.
And what Coutinho used to do is he'd just drop in and he'd just pick the ball up, and then he'd find Mane or he'd find Firmino. And
Salah's instructions are to wait on the shoulder, to don't come back and press with the others.
Exactly. And what Liverpool are missing at the moment is Liverpool don't have an attacking midfielder who will drop between the lines. Liverpool have replaced him with a winger who's going to play on the shoulder. Two completely different roles.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying for 1 minute that one's better than the other, but I think if you lose the dropping in of Coutinho, then you need to replace it in the midfield behind them.
Yeah. And the replacement in the midfield behind them, one of them's not ready and one of them's injured.
Exactly.
And the other one's perpetually injured in Lallana.
Yeah, I know. It's a shame, isn't it? But it's one of those with Lallana. But yeah, I mean, when we had Coutinho, we weren't scoring anywhere near as many goals as we were when we had Salah. When we had all four of them, I mean, that could have been incredible if Coutinho hadn't got as greedy as he did, pushed as hard as he had. If he'd just stayed on for another year, we'd win. I already think Liverpool are probably going to win the league this season. But if we had Coutinho, I'd been absolutely certain of it. Which is interesting because I don't actually think he fits into Klopp's style as well as he maybe want him to. I mean, the obvious thing is Fekir. I mean, people will obviously be crying out now and saying Oxlade-Chamberlain missing. If we have Fekir, we'd maybe be winning these games instead. There's no guarantee he'd have hit the ground running either.
No, that's the thing with new transfers. Obviously, we got very lucky with Salah last season, but even then, that took a while to get the ball rolling properly. And with new transfers, it's always risky, and especially with Klopp teams, they need that bedding in time.
Oh no, definitely.
We saw it with Oxlade-Chamberlain. We saw it with Andy Robbo.
Definitely,
it's just one of them.
Yeah, and it'll come. The reason I bring up Fekir anyway is I just want to end on this note. Really, I know we've still got a good couple of months, and anything can happen between now and January. But what do you think? Do you think Jurgen Klopp is looking around and thinking that there's business to be done in January now? He's not, he's not known for doing anything drastic in January. I mean, Steven Corker's probably.
Oh, Van Dijk came in.
Well, you know what I mean. No, like Van Dijk was like the Van Dijk was
the one that got away. Yeah,
exactly. And Van Dijk was basically everything Jurgen wanted in a defender, and he's been proved right over that.
Yeah.
And that's the reason I'm asking this. Basically, do you see Fekir being the Van Dijk of this season?
Not sure. because some reports say that we tried to restructure the deal. Some reports say that we just pulled out completely stone dead. I also think 8 games in the league isn't enough for anyone, especially Klopp, to go, okay, this is a problem, we need to fix this. I think we need to see how the rest of the start of the season goes.
Yeah.
And then we'll see if anything needs to be done. I think if something does need to be done, I think Klopp's going to go out and do it. Mm-hmm. Because this is the year. This is it.
I mean, well, we say that. It's not the be-all and end-all.
No.
But,
this is the year we challenge for the league.
Yeah, and this is the year Liverpool will have to use as a stepping stone for anything in the future.
Exactly.
And it can't just be this season. It needs to be going forward as well. And I think if we look at Fekir or someone like that, it has to be with one eye on what they're doing next season.
Exactly, yeah. So I think if something does need doing in January, it will get done. Maybe Lallana is not as reliable as Klopp thought or hoped.
Yeah, I think he put a lot of faith in Adam Lallana over the summer. I think he turned around and he went, you know what, Sturridge is kicking on. If we can get Lallana up to a similar level, then maybe we don't need a Fekir.
Maybe one of those, or maybe one of the wingers still hasn't hit the heights that he should. Maybe he brings in a winger or something.
Do you think with Shaqiri there?
I don't know. See, in summer I still thought we were one young winger short. Like a Pulisic. Pulisic, pretty much.
And that is fair. I don't think the way Liverpool play, I don't think we necessarily need wingers as such. I think I'd rather Liverpool have another attacker midfielder in this team than a winger, because the expansive type of play we play with the fullbacks bombing on doesn't really cry out for wingers.
True, but you know what I mean, like it's someone to deputise for Salah or Mane.
Pressing Brazil, never reliable, but the strong links with Lucas Paqueta, who is part of the Brazilian national team. He's only 21 from Flamengo. I'm not going to pretend I've ever watched them play, but the people who know Brazilian football seem to think that this is something worth getting excited over. We'll wait and see what comes of it. But if that is true and Liverpool are looking at him, it's clear that that's something they have earmarked. That's something we are missing from this team, and it's something that we need to maybe look at a bit closer
and build for the future.
Yeah, exactly. 21-year-olds. What can you say about that?
Exactly.
I think I've covered pretty much everything we wanted to cover.
Yeah,
today.
I think
there's quotes from Klopp about the tiredness, but we've basically talked about.
Everyone's going to have a lovely 2 weeks off, including us, and we'll be back fit and firing for Huddersfield.
Yeah,
it'll be sad.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll find something to talk about next week, Matt. Come on. I'm sure there'll be something. I'm happy with that. So, that's been this week's The Story of a Poor Boy. If you could follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, follow us on all the usual sites, Spotify, YouTube, Podbean, Podcast Addict, WordPress, all that kind of jazz. Thanks very much for listening, guys. We will try and make it a bit more regular, we promise. Up the Reds.
Cheers, guys.